So pitching for me is one of the most misunderstood areas of the game, and this video is really going to aim to clear that up for you, get a lot more understanding about how you should set up and swing to be able to hit those awkward distance between say 30 and 80 yards, that fiddly distance where it's not a full shot and it's not a short game chip shot. So we're going to get into how you set up, how you swing to be able to control your distances and actually change your releases a little bit as well to change ball flight. So let's get started. Okay, so pitching, to begin with, I think you've got to define it, what it actually is, and it is that awkward distance. And it isn't a short greenside chip and it isn't a full swing. But you very much have to think of it as part of the short game family. So it's the short shots coming out into pitching. It's not long game coming down into pitching. So it's an extension of what we've talked about greenside. So that means really making sure that you create that pivot point that runs from the foot through the knee, hip into shoulder towards your front ear. And then from there, it's about rotating your chest around that point. So you can see here how my back foot would barely get off the ground with a good pitching action. You see all the best pitchers of the ball in the world, you know, they don't drive through, whereas a lot of people who misunderstand pitching, they take it from long game down, they're trying to dial down a long game technique. They have way too much hip action, way too much drive, and look like they've hit a full shot in the finish. Toes all the way down here, the foot, you're showing all the spikes on your right shoe there. Okay, you're never going to get any control over ball flight and strike. Okay, you're going to get lots of heavy shots, lots of thin shots. So that's where you sort of understanding needs to begin. It's very much rotating around that point. So I'll just demonstrate a few here. I've got my 56-degree TaylorMade high toe wedge here. And I'm going to play some of my standard releases, which is a release 2 for when I play my standard pitch shot. And we'll clip some away. So we're going to play the ball position just forward of centre. I like to get my elbows and just my triceps and tuck them in a little bit so they're soft and connected. So I really want to get the feeling of it's my chest and arms working together. So I want to get them stuck in there at address there. Grip pressure is nice and light. I feel like my weight's left. I'm now going to pivot around and really watch my leg action. See, so it's nice and quiet. Arms are in. Okay, I'm not driving away. I've not driven through into a full finish. And that's just massively going to give you a lot more consistency over your strike. And strike is the #1 thing to get. It's nice to start talking about how you get distance control, but unless you've got strike, you know, all those discussions are pretty pointless really. So really work on that heavy feet. Plant your feet, tuck your elbows in a little bit there, rotate around. And you see how easy it is to get that consistency in the strike, okay? So in terms of TrackMan, for those people who like looking at numbers, the important number there really is smash factor. That's basically the relationship between the speed of the club head and the speed of the ball. And that's come out there at 1.01, okay? So I was 58 miles an hour on the club head speed, and my ball speed was exactly the same. So I'm trying to match those numbers up, okay? And if you can do that, that's really what you're looking for from a release 2 pitch shot. So just in terms of that release 2 pitch, because I do get asked a lot of questions about this as well. The greenside release 2, the soft landing shot, would look like this. Okay, and see that ball really comes off nice and soft. And you see how the loft points back at my sort of left shoulder area, maybe my face as well, if I can cup the wrist nicely. And that's what you want for the greenside, to allow that ball to spin and land softly. If you pitch with that same action, you'll struggle to get any distance. It'll just pop up. So I can work my body well, but that was a greenside release. It's a lovely shot, but it's just popped up. It hasn't given me the distance control that I want. So the only variation is when you're pitching with a release 2, the shaft still releases exactly the same to the belt buckle, but you want to feel at the same time there's a little bit of face rotation. So you want to feel like you're lining the leading edge up with the target. It's not going to be more this way. It's releasing, okay? And that's going to allow you to get more of a squarer face on the ball, allow the face to turn over, get the ball launching a little bit lower and getting more distance, whilst at the same time still getting that nice release and bounce with the sole. When I pitch, you see, I want that ball moving maybe a yard right to left. And they see a lot of top players when they pitch, they do that. The ball just moves right to left 1 yard, and that's what they're doing. They're allowing the club face just to gently rotate through the ball and end up in this position before it goes into the finish. Okay, so that would be the mid-flight, 29-degree launch, high spinning. They were all spinning there about 7,500 RPM. Okay, and that's like the standard pitch shot. But the key lesson for you there is the feet rooted, arms connected to the chest, and you're rotating around, and you can pick and choose your release. And if you chop my arms off, I shouldn't look any different. Your difference is how you release the club. Okay, so that was the release 2 stock pitch. Now sometimes you might have a lie which isn't as friendly. It might be sitting down a little bit, it might be on a little bit of hard pan, and you want to make sure you're going to get a little bit more of that leading edge coming in. Okay, so it's more this way, and that's when you can do a release 1. It's also useful if you're pitching into the wind, or you've got a back pin position and you want to skip it up to a back pin. So rather than having the ball just forward of centre, you can put it just back of centre, put a little bit more shaft lean in. We're now going to finish on a release 1 into there, and we'll see the flight come down. A bit more divot because we're punching it a bit more. So much better into the wind, great to that back pin position, and you don't have to worry about the lie, because pretty much any lie you can still get that leading edge into. The smash factor will jump up. That's gone to 1.11, okay, because the ball speed increases, and that's the byproducts of leaning the shaft more, getting a stronger loft. The ball comes off hotter. Okay, you got to practice both those shots because you need both. Okay, so you need a soft landing spinny one, and then you need that little bit more of a driving one as well. There's an obvious change you can make as well. I did that with a 56 and turned it down, but if you want it to release out a little bit more, get the smash factor a little bit higher, you can just go to a stronger loft. So this is a 52, just do the same thing. Launch is a bit lower. Okay, it's just going to release a little bit more on the green. All depends on what's in front of you, what the green design is like. If there are any tears on the green, you've got to skip it up. And something that's become a little bit of a lost art is going down to something like a 9-iron and just doing the same thing with a 9-iron, a little release 1 pitch. Great for those of you who might be a little bit lacking in confidence when you pitch. The narrower sole of a 9-iron will generally make a better contact than the wider sole with a lofted wedge. And if you've got a play on a golf course where there's not too many hazards at the front, and maybe it's the summertime and it's fairly dry, you can land that short of the green and let it run up. So just play down the grip a little bit, ball just back of centre, try and just connect everything up, finish short. Really simple little shot. It will run up. The smash factor's gone to 1.3 there, so the ball really came off hot because it's a much stronger loft. Such a simple shot, but people don't seem to do it these days. Okay, but just for the right situation, do that. Now, release 3 pitching isn't something I would really recommend too much. Okay, the only time I would ever do a release 3 pitch shot, remember release 3 is there, is if I had a tree, big tree in front of me, and I've got to get it up over that tree and carry it a reasonable distance. So the key here is not perhaps always going to your most lofted club, which seems a logical thing to do, but the problem with releasing, say, a 60 that much would be you might get it up over the tree, but it won't really go very far once it gets over it. Okay, so it's not going to carry the distance. So I would actually, I've got the 56, but I really should get the 52 out here, because a stronger loft like a 52 means I can really release it and hit it higher with more speed and get the distance. Okay, so that's quite important. I think most people would go for a 60 there, but we can do more with a 52. So I'm really going to release this, and we're really going to launch it nice and high. And there's the release 3. That would get over most trees. Still carried there 75 yards, but the land angle was so steep because I released it. Okay, hopefully you don't have to use that shot too often, but it's a useful one to have just in case you do have a bit of tree problems. So there your key points in terms of releases. We've talked about how the feet are heavy. It's the chest rotating around the legs. The arms are connected. We go here into the finish. This is the key here, not driving the foot up too much, okay? The chest rotating is what's bringing the foot up. And then we talked about how we can just change the release a little bit to change ball flight. So I'll now just briefly talk about how you can control distance a little bit, but there's plenty there for you to get your teeth into. So distance control, until you've worked on what I've just given you in terms of the actual foundation of the setup and the motion of the rotation around, there's no point really working on your distance control, because once you get control over your ball flight, okay, and your smash factor, and more importantly than anything, just that strike, which gives you those two, there's no point talking about distance control. So assuming you're getting some consistency in strike, we can then start thinking about how we get it. People talk about getting clock face systems, and I think that it could work for some players. I prefer to alter my setup, which gives me a backswing length for free. So I get the setup, and then every pitch shot to me then feels like a full pitch because of what I've changed at address. So I have what I call, if you read the book, you'll see this, I have what I call an A1, an A2, and an A3, and address 1, address 2, address 3. So address 1 is one club head between the middle of my feet. I go down nearly to the bottom of the grip, and because I've gone down the grip, I come in closer to the ball. My weight is always left, which I've already discussed, so that's still there as the pivot point. And if I set up like this, and I keep my weight left, and I take a backswing, that is as far as my left arm will go. It will not go any further. If someone was pulling that shaft, and I'm barely holding it by the way, it just won't go any further because of the setup constraints that I've put into place over the ball. I know for me, if I can just control my speed, obviously speed's important, so I'm concentrating just making my chest turn nice and smoothly at an even pace. I know that my 56 will go 30 yards through the air, okay, from an A1 position. Right, your numbers are going to be different to mine. You've got to figure out what yours are, but these are mine, okay? So, played that pretty perfect, and that's 30 yards, okay. Now, if I wanted to now hit this a little bit further, so I've got 50 yards, I go to 2 club heads, my address 2. I go middle of the grip. I go a bit further away because I've gone up the grip. My weight is still left. I've now given myself the 9 o'clock position. But having to think about it, I can feel that backswing get sticky there. Can't go any further. So I don't need to worry about having to take my left arm back to a certain position. I can just let it go there, and I can swing through and get that 50-yard carry. And then I have an address 3, which is very simply 3 club heads. 1, 2, 3. Nearly at the top of the grip now. A bit further away because we've gone up the grip. Weight still left. Now I'm going to hit 10:30. Okay, I'll be able to feel I can get to that 3/4 position. And then I can start getting control that way. You can do that with every wedge in the bag if you wish. Depends how technical you are as a golfer. And you can get loads of numbers. For me, I quite like just having 3 numbers. I know that if I use the 52 and do the same, it's going to give me another 5 yards on top of all of those numbers. And then I can easily work between them. You know, I don't want to get too technical, but you could just narrow it between a 1 and a 2, or you could just change your distance on the grip a little bit to give yourself a bit more control. But I think that will really help your distance control. For all the golfers who've used that I've given to over the years, it has helped them. I think it takes out the worry about your length of backswing, and you're focusing much more about what you're trying to do this side instead of this side. And we all know we play golf this way, don't we, to target, and it gets you more into that. So hopefully the video's helped. Hopefully it's given you a bit more understanding about what a pitch shot is. You can understand how you can use different releases, how you can change ball flight, and then how you can control distance. It's a really key area of the game. If you focus on this, you'll be amazed at how many strokes you can save off your handicap actually pretty quickly. So go out there, enjoy it, and let me know how you get on.